Hey everybody, welcome back to another edition of PD and PDubs Unscripted. It's so wonderful to be with you. You're listening today on June 7th to our podcast today. PD, great to see you again.
Good to see you. It's always great to be in the studio.
Yeah, and we're going to have a good time today because we have a guest in the house, first-time guest.
Yeah, people are sick of just you and me, so they told us to get more guests on the podcast.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So today we welcome Mr. John Pejchl. How are you, John?
I'm doing good, Pastor and Pastor.
Yeah.
Pastor Squared?
Pastor Squared, yeah. So John and I go back to high school days, back at the old alma mater, Frem High School, class of 1983. Vikings, and the class of 83 will be having, I'm going to shameless plug of alumni party. When is that? End of June? July?
Yeah, July 21st, 2nd, 3rd, somewhere in there.
Okay. So later in the summer. So if you are a friend alumni from 1983, get on Facebook and
reach out to Liz Felt, Eric Kurland, or Liz Felt Wakeman.
Apologies.
Yep. Eric Kurland, or just look for 1983 40th year.
We are not that old.
No, we can't.
I'm only 42.
Exactly.
So, but anyway, yeah. And then John currently works with Lutheran Church Charities and helps out over there with all the ministries that they provide. And so he just stopped by the studio today to talk about a need at Immanuel. So John has it been pretty recently, within the last year, right? You've started to help out with our AV team on our weekend worships. So this is a really important part of the ministry, isn't it, PD?
Yeah, they're the people that make us look as good as we can and sound as good as we can.
Yeah, right.
For the live streams and all that jazz.
Yeah, so in this age, especially post-COVID, I think Immanuel was kind of on the leading edge of these kinds of things with AV technology already at play. So when COVID came, we just kind of seamlessly transitioned over into that. But we are heavy on projection and cameras and sound and web streaming. So
the phone, the call on the phone.
Oh yeah, the call, to worship by phone. So you call a phone number and you listen and worship while you're on the phone. For some of us who don't have
computers or internet.
Exactly.
And that's one of the few technology pieces up there. I don't know how to figure out the phone call-in one, and I don't want to learn it.
I have not been given the authority clearance to even go into that system.
Yeah.
We had a meeting and decided neither of you were.
Probably a good decision.
That's a good decision. I know how to do a couple things. I know how to press the white button underneath the countertop.
Turns everything on.
I learned that last week.
Mm-hmm. It's a powerful button.
Yeah, it is.
And you wouldn't know what it is. I mean, it's just like this little bitty button that you don't know the power you have.
Yeah, I think I've kind of gotten the feel of general location of it, because when it's dark up there, I'm just like feeling it. I'm like, come on, where is it?
Yep. And then I probably know, probably second best is, how we store everything that we're going to project, like the slides and everything. So I know how to operate that and plunk in PowerPoints like last minute for my sermons and things like that.
Yeah, I know that.
And I probably know how to do the cameras a little bit. I'm not the greatest at them.
Yeah, I think I figured that and the fade transition when you're going from one, and
that's the part I don't know.
And the key of trying to set up the next camera shot so you're not moving the camera as it's live on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
See, you guys are scaring me now. I don't know if I can do that. See, that's the thing. That's the great thing about being up in AV is all the things you just talked about, we don't have to know.
Right.
Because they're already set up when we get up there.
Mm-hmm.
It's pushing that button that cycles all the equipment on.
Yep.
And then we've got one person that makes sure we're live on Facebook. So people who can't make it in or for one reason or another can't get out of home and just still want to come and join us and worship, they're able to do that. We got another person on projection handling to make sure that the hymns as they're sung, you see the words, because we don't all have them memorized. I'm raising my hand here. And you got one person handling the projectors with the PowerPoints when they're in and they're not always in. And then we got another person handling the camera. So it's 3 people each service. So 9 people a week.
Mm-hmm.
is what we need. And, we're trying to get it to where it's 2 times a month that we really need the help. And in that case, we're looking at another 10 to 12 people that we could seamlessly fit in.
Yeah. And now you named the 3 people at the controls.
Yep.
Now, typically there's another person who's just kind of there as oversight to help in, like our AV manager, right?
Yes. Yeah. The AV manager, and that's really a backup. And if there's a problem, that person knows all the things that if you're just coming in early, first couple of months and you don't know, that person will be able to know, or they'll be able to train you and help you along.
Yeah.
And if somebody isn't able to show up or has to leave early, that person can step in and do it.
Yeah.
And kind of one of the things I want to hit upon that you're talking about, how like the different people that watch it, like shut-ins are different things. There's different things that we've noticed when we're on Facebook Live or on the Facebook. We'll have people randomly say, oh, like we used to have this lady that said, oh, I live in Oklahoma, but I love watching your services, and have no connection to us. And we've had a couple of times where people have said that, which is such a great outreach where we don't even realize who we're reaching through this ministry of having our worship services streamed online still.
That is the beautiful thing of the internet that we have, is that I've seen this with my own case. When I'm putting prayer requests out, I literally have people around the world saying, we're praying for you, John.
Yeah.
And being able to worship with people that you probably won't meet this side of heaven, but they're still getting blessed by the sermons that you give and the beautiful service that we put on here at Immanuel. This is Immanuel Lutheran, right?
Yeah, Immanuel Lutheran. And with that, I'm just pulling up the email that we received earlier today, Pastor and myself, about the streaming stats from May 20th and 21st, which would be the past weekend from when we're recording. And it said we reached about 531 views across all platforms between the 3 services.
Wow.
And so obviously we don't know how long the people are staying on, but still it's 531 different views about watching a weekend service.
Yeah.
Yeah, even if they stand for a couple of minutes, you pray that the Holy Spirit's doing something, planting a seed in their heart that maybe that'll draw them back to spend more time watching and worshiping the next time or whatever. And but as you were kind of getting at, people from different states or things, even our own members, I know it hits a segment of our population that has some health concerns, or they can't make it in, but yet they've found a way to stay connected. And I can't tell you how many times I've heard people say, thank you for doing that. We can't come in, but we faithfully attend online every week. And that's wonderful because, it's their family, it's their church, and they're staying connected. And that's the beauty of this technology.
Yeah. God said his word will go out. He didn't say how.
Right. Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, that's where I think, like you mentioned earlier, we've been blessed with that. We had such good technology to start with when COVID happened for the live streaming. That's been a smooth transition. I feel we've just kind of continued to grow since then, and still figuring out ways that we can strengthen that online presence.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, John, maybe I think always people kind of, when they hear AV, they may think, oh, that's not me. I'm not an AV guy. I'm not a techie guru guy. And I think you were helping allay some fears or concerns. Really, you don't have to know everything that pastors just talked about. So maybe could you talk about how you could address those initial fears and maybe share what you were apprehensive about when asked to come and join the team?
I just heard from Jenny, who pretty much, she's our worship director, and she runs the things up there. And she just said, it's not that hard. And I got up there and she said, I'll walk you through a couple of trainings. And she did that. I just kind of watched for the projection, which is what I do pretty much exclusively. I haven't wanted to go into the camera yet, as basically you make sure that you're on the keyboard and you're just forwarding when you need to forward. It's literally just following the instructions, and the team up there is so close that if you're running 2 or 3 or 4 seconds late, they'll remind you very subtly that time to turn. It's because we know that what we do, nobody sees what we're doing up there,
Right.
but people outside us see it. The people inside worshiping, they see the hymns going up and the lyrics, so they can help sing along and worship God how they want. And that's one of the great things. Fears of going there, I knew I'd be bad at it the first couple times, but I remember I was told that when I was younger, when I was first starting to walk, that I was bad at first. But I never stopped, and I'm able to walk now.
Yeah.
So
Look what you've
You're a pretty
accomplished.
decent walker.
it took 58 years, but I'm there.
You're there. Yeah. That's good.
But
Yeah, it's one of the things I hear about when you try a new skill, you're always going to be bad at first, and you just accept that, and you're normal. I've done a lot of public speaking in different events, and I know as a pastor, I'm sure the first couple times that you've been given a sermon, that you weren't as good as you were, say, what you gave last 2 or 3 weeks.
Well, I mean, I think like 2 examples in my own life. Like I think about when I was best man for my brother and giving the best man speech. Like my hand was shaking the whole time with the paper in my hand, and you could just see the paper shaking. Or when I got ordained, thank the Lord that I was wearing my alb and stuff when I got ordained. But when I was doing like the consecration of the elements, like my knees were shaking. But thankfully with the robe on, I couldn't tell.
Yeah.
So the nerves are going to be there. And I remember when I first joined Toastmasters, my friend German said to me, John, you're always going to have butterflies. Just make them fly in formation.
Hey, that's a cool way. I've never heard of that.
I've been using that for myself for 12, 13 years. So the first time I was up there, was I nervous? Yeah, I was. But guess what? I got through it, and the church is still standing. I've been here about 6 months doing AV, and they haven't asked me to stop coming because I keep messing up.
Yeah.
So I must be doing something
Right.
halfway decent.
But in your butterfly analogy, the one I think of, I think I heard in some, maybe President Meyer, but like a rubber band. A rubber band needs a little bit of stress for it to actually do its job. If there's no stress on a rubber band, it's kind of useless.
And one thing that the AV is obviously we're asking for volunteers. And one of the things that I've learned over time in studying, I actually gave a talk here several years ago about volunteering. Volunteering, yes, we help the other people that we're serving and that, but there's physical health benefits to volunteering. There's scientific studies where it reduces your stress, it reduces your blood pressure, you get those good hormones in your brain released, which makes you feel good. And those are all great things for you personally. And that's why when I gave the talk, I remember I opened it up saying that volunteering is one of the most selfish things you can do.
Because it's helping you.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny you mentioned stress, because that's where I think people who see what goes on or even think of or imagine what the AV situation's all about, they think, oh, it's a stressful situation. It could be. Well, once you get it down and once you get, what your role is and the flow of the service, it really isn't. And, you can actually get to a point where you're actually worshiping with, we hope that those who are up there are still, engaging in worship in some way. But because of its technology, you may have stressful moments, like, someone giving you that gesture, like, next slide. Oh, yeah, but then it goes away.
Or some pastor has a video and they say, here's the video, and they turn to look, and the video's not there.
And,
I had somebody tell me, they're like, oh, we just love it when you're like, okay, here's a video, and you turn and face, and then it doesn't come up right away. And just like, and that's just, so that's the stress of when the technology doesn't work. And, we're talking about the fears. I think maybe we don't have the greatest setup up there in a sense, because the first thing people see when they walk by the sound AV team is the soundboard, which is, I think, the most thing that people fear the most.
Oh, yeah,
there's
so many buttons.
So
and
that's the
slides
first
on
thing
that
they
thing.
see as they walk up there. So we advertise by putting the most fearful thing right when you walk in.
Yeah. And you know what? Truth be told, I'm not up there every service, but I don't think there's much movement or adjustments going on the sound thing once the church service gets going.
14 per service.
Okay. I
No,
stand corrected.
There really isn't.
Yeah.
There's a couple here and there, but
Yeah.
nothing. It's mostly just audio levels for depending on what's going on.
And for the most part, like our mics don't ever change.
No.
And then wireless 4 might, depending on who's speaking.
And then like we add stress to the thing when we don't turn our mics on, and we get people doing calisthenics up at the AV and waving arms, and then you sit there and go, why are they standing up, and why? Oh, they want my attention, and
or you do some damage to the mics when you move. It's staticky. Like I've had that problem. I don't know what I've done to my mics to cause that.
Yeah.
And the one kind of nice thing with like technology is like, especially with Jenny, like sometimes we don't know what's exactly going on in the AV. And that's what's great is like she can text down to both of us, and whether it's on our iPads or phones or me on my watch, I can see a text like, hey, this is what's going on. So that's a communication. So that's, just to, that's why we're sometimes looking at our phones and that, because it's a good, like, hey, we're communicating with somebody up in AV.
I didn't even know that happened.
Oh, yeah, it happens.
It's that subtle and that well run.
But yeah, every once in a while we have those little kind of times where we get that like, hey, this is what's going on, or like I'll text like, hey, blah 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 blah. So I might get a text from somebody else saying, hey, the Facebook live stream isn't going. So then I'll text up like, hey, what's going? Just checking in.
Right. Yeah. Sometimes Facebook doesn't play nice with us on our web stream. They don't start it right away, and the operator up there is like, well, it's going. We're streaming. And then we check like, oh yeah, it's on YouTube. It's on our website, but Facebook hasn't like done it. And for those who wonder, why we're even talking about Facebook, what Pastor and I do, we share it out to various groups to get more people to kind of see and worship with us. And then as people make comments like, good morning, great to be with you, Pastor and I will be off to the side in the beginning of the worship service, like commenting back, welcome to worship, good to have you with us. And, that was something that was born out of COVID, where we were live streaming, and, we're at home during the thing, and then we're really, trying to get the comments going. But now when we're live, we can only do it in the beginning.
Especially like, I don't know about you, but when I'm flying solo for a worship service, I'm just kind of thinking, okay, what's coming next?
Yeah.
I'm not as focused. And I mean, the other tech thing that I love that we've been able to incorporate is the text to prayer. How people can text in that prayer number, and it comes directly to our devices. And, I would say on average weekend, we get a couple every weekend.
Yeah, we do.
And it shows that, and it shows people are watching it live, because most of the time it comes in right as we're praying.
Yep.
Which gives you a good, lesson on quickly reading something and trying to decipher and
in the middle of a prayer.
Right. Of how to continue.
Yeah. So we try our best to incorporate those text to prayers into the prayer that we're praying in live. So we feel that shows that we're, counting them as important and their needs important and things like that. So, but that's not anything the AV team has to worry about. That just is happening. But
as long as we have the slide up, we're good.
Yeah.
As long as we have the slide up.
Yeah.
One other thing that I want to bring up is that I know before I came to Immanuel almost 30 years ago, I was at Willow Creek Church, which is a huge church. And one of the comments that I hear from a lot of new people is, oh, that church is too big. I could never be a part of that. And what I found over the years that I went is that the more I volunteered in different places, the smaller the church got.
Yeah.
And you became to know people, and you get that group. And the reason that I told that story is because if you're new to Immanuel and you think, I haven't been here long enough and I don't know anyone, it's a perfect opportunity to get to know someone.
Right.
Because we've got that team up there. And then once you start to get to know a couple people here, and then you'll start to recognize a couple other people, and they'll get to know you, and they'll come up and they'll say, hi, John. And I'm like, hi, I know you, but I don't know your name, But don't let the length of time that you've been coming to Immanuel stop you from helping out. Don't let the ability that I don't know AV to stop you, because trust me, if I can do it, anybody that's hearing this can do it.
For sure.
Yeah, and I think the more you do it, the easier it becomes. Because I remember I didn't want to learn anything with the AV stuff, because like the less I know, the less I'm asked to do.
Yeah.
And then COVID happened, and especially during chapel, I kind of got thrown up there at times, and I was like, figured it out, I think, fairly quickly. And so I think that's the thing, like, you can pick it up, I think, fairly quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what's the schedule of like, how often does your rotation come around?
Right now, I'm drawing a blank. I think Christine is her name.
Crystal.
Thank you. Crystal's created a Google sheet of the times that we need people in AV. And we go up there and we put in when we're able to help out. And when the service is full, you don't have to fill it out anymore. I've been coming about 3 times a month to help in AV.
Okay.
And it's, and there's usually we get enough people to help out 3.
Yeah.
We're trying to aim for 2, which is why we're looking for maybe 10 to 12 other people.
Okay.
Like I said, we got a good team. We're getting to know each other because every year it's like a new team, and
Right.
we're just having fun.
That's good. Well, I love to hear the fun aspect because, like, you're creating relationships. You're in the pit together, and you're all looking out for each other in the middle of the service.
And one of the other awesome things that I think about is like that it's multi-generational.
Yeah.
You have from, 50s to down to teenagers helping. And like a lot of studies show, like what keeps kids in church is if they feel they're connected to 5 different people at the church outside their own family. So that gives another avenue, because then they feel, oh, well, even though now I'm not a youth anymore, I know this adult in the congregation, and it can have that mentor relationship and like a bonding because you have something common interest with serving AV, that it still remain feeling connected with the church.
That I'm so glad that you brought up the idea of age, because in our staff devotion yesterday, Dr. Rich Bimler gave the devotion. He was talking about age and just older people. He said he was 82 and a half. I didn't realize they count half age at that. But
Hey, man,
he did, and he was just talking about how to get people older, middle, and younger, and get them all, because the younger kids are going to learn from the older people, and their energy is going to be infectious, the good kind, where the older people are feeling young. And so getting that multi-generational aspect is a good thing, because you're just going to learn the good, the bad of different ages.
Another thing I was thinking of was at Immanuel, we have a fairly, good variety of worship service formats, right?
Yes.
And so as a person who's helping out on AV, you traverse the different services, and it's usually you're just assigned one per weekend, right? It's not,
Yes.
you're not doing a whole. So like you invariably will learn different ways of our worship, from the traditional to the, more blended to the contemporary. And so you might know one format better over another, like in terms of songs or hymns. And then it's a way for you to kind of even expand and appreciate the other forms, perhaps.
Yeah. I tend to go with either the Saturday night or the Sunday morning 8 a.m. service. Saturday night, and it's just nice to get it out of the way, and then I have Sunday to where I can just kind of rest and recharge for the week coming up. Sunday morning, I'm up early, and because of some of the other people in AV are younger, Crystal, this means you. They don't want to get up and get there to the 8 o'clock service, and that's fine.
Some may have families to get up at.
I remember when I was having kids, and it was like that Saturday night service was great, because then you didn't have to worry about getting up at 7 o'clock and getting the kids ready and moving and all that. So, yeah.
And on those special weekends, if you maybe pull double duty of doing multiple services, you can critique to see which service has the better message.
Ooh.
Which, if we brought it different for a different service, or critique the changes, because not every sermon is exactly the same.
It's true.
We're going to hold the report cards till July for each of you.
Okay.
Great. Thanks for the warning.
Not a problem.
Yeah.
Because they do change up from time to time.
From time to time, yeah. I mean, I don't know about you, but sometimes, Saturday, that needs a little rough, little work. So come back with something a little polished or whatever, a different idea. Sunday, but maybe sometimes it is the best one. I don't know.
And like we were talking about on the hymns podcast a couple of weeks ago, sometimes the hymn that will be sung, because we don't sing always the same songs, that might trigger a thought that will connect into the message.
Exactly. And that's really what you want worship to do, is allow the Spirit to work and move, in that moment and in that scenario, and, just be paying attention to the Lord's leading on that. And, that's part of the seed planting, I think.
That's the beautiful thing that I love about hearing a good sermon, is because it's going to spark a thought in me that's going to be really speaking to me.
Yeah.
And I could be sitting next to somebody else, and a completely different thought will spark in them, but it'll hit us, impact us both the same way, even though it's different thought, it's a different idea, and it's like it's the power of God's word hitting us and moving us closer and closer to what He wants us to be, which is like Him.
So you were talking earlier about your experience as you come up to the balcony, and so could you describe like how much before the service you arrive, and like when you go up, do you just sit down and like is everything ready for you, that kind of thing?
How many prayers you say that hopefully these pastors are staying in one spot when they're preaching?
Yeah, right.
I usually try to get in about 15 minutes before the service starts.
Okay.
And that's just because I like to be 5 to 10 minutes early for anything I go to. I'd rather be early than late. One of my first jobs out of high school, I was actually at Farrell's Ice Cream Parlor in Woodfield.
I remember that.
And the general manager on orientation day said, "It's so fun to work here. We don't show up on time. We show up 10 minutes early." And I've been trying to keep that ever since.
Yeah.
But
It left a lasting impression on you.
yeah, it really, well, I'm still using it, It's so, but there's times where people can come in, 5 minutes before and sit down in their spot and get things going and done.
Yeah.
So we'd prefer a good 10 to 15 minutes beforehand. That way you're not stressed out and you just kind of relax, get ready to help with the Immanuel giving our service.
Yeah. Well, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then when the service is done, it's really much just shut down and you're on your way, right?
Yeah.
Like there's really no...
Well, no, you're shut down on the 8 a.m.
Oh,
service.
true, yeah, because you just kind of
Exactly. We just
let it stay, yeah.
Yeah, because the praise team is practicing, so they're working on their sound levels, and that's usually the manager kind of managing that. So that's not, if you're signing up for AV, you really don't have to worry all that much about doing the sound check for the band.
Yeah, the when I do the 8 o'clock, it's making sure that the 10:30 slides are ready to go, so the person can just slide into the seat and go.
Just like you did, yeah.
Yeah, and you're right. The 8 o'clock, we don't have to turn it off, so it's nice. Saturday night, we just shut the machines down and then say goodnight and head out.
Yeah. Like PDubs said, it's just one button to shut down all the machines.
Yeah.
Kind of nice, yeah.
Except for the projector, you gotta just go on the computer.
Yeah.
Well, if you're listening and you're intrigued or you're interested, what's ways that someone could reach out and contact someone on the AV team?
Jenny Lobbs. It's easy to find.
Yep. So go to our website or find Jenny and our staff, and you can find her email address, or even if you're in church and you can, tap John if you see him. You can tap Pastor or I or Jenny. Say you're interested.
Yeah. In fact, I'm going to even go one step further. If you're interested and you're at church, come on up.
There you go.
Sit with us and shadow with us. You won't be required to push any buttons, but we'll show you what we do.
Yeah. That's nice and easy.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, John. I appreciate you coming in
Absolutely.
today.
Thanks
and
for the invite.
It was enjoyable to have you, and we hope that you'll return again sometime and on any other topic that we would love to talk with you about.
I would love to. In fact, before we leave, I want to ask you guys one more question.
This is really gonna be unscripted.
Yeah.
John,
Nobody asks us questions.
John, you're not supposed to go off the script here.
Okay. This Cubs Sox thing going on, what's that about?
What Cubs Sox thing?
Cubs?
Well,
Sox.
one pastor loves the Cubs.
Yeah.
The other one doesn't know baseball. How does
Well, I was gonna say somebody
Shot over the
I was
bow.
gonna say, well, one of us knows how to make wise decisions. I chose wisely, and somebody chose poorly.
Oh, really?
You chose poorly, like
So-
the guy in Indiana Jones
So
says.
I was going to say, now we're doing Indiana Jones
Yeah.
jokes. Wow. This really derailed
I chose
quickly.
poorly. Okay. Okay. When was the last World Series in Chicago? Where was that?
Who won one first?
The Cubs won. Oh, no. You know what? I will give you this. The White Sox did win the first one in 1906.
That's right. We beat the Cubs in 1906.
But then the Cubs were the first team to win back-to-back
Yeah,
in
1907 and 08.
Well, how many have you guys thrown?
How many have we thrown?
Yeah, how many World Series have you thrown? We got one of those.
Yeah,
One less
the Black
than you
Sox.
guys.
Yeah.
Hey, not every team can say they've done that.
Oh man. Now I will credit the White Sox with sweeping a World Series.
Yeah,
You
we
know,
did. Hey,
but-
we did something that no team will ever do in the playoffs again in that 05 playoff run.
And that was the sweeping.
No.
What was it?
Starting pitchers. all
Yeah, and the
pitched complete
ALCS,
games.
4 complete games in a row in the ALCS. You'll
okay.
never have four complete games.
Yeah.
Well, there will never be a more exciting Game 7 in any World Series than there was in 2016.
Yeah, because teams get it done before Game 7 to clinch the World Series.
Hey, we were all about, getting people involved to make baseball fans. What's this? Get done for and done and the season's over. We want to make it,
Hey.
get people to be good fans.
The White Sox were being
Look
good.
what you started. He's over here laughing.
The White Sox were giving back to a diehard fan, winning their World Series, 2 games of a World Series on a big fan's 21st birthday. So, greatest birthday gift ever, probably.
Oh, man.
And I was just looking, here we are, May 25th. I was looking at the standings here to see if I have any room to talk on the standings.
No, you're down a game in the win column from
Yeah,
us.
and you guys haven't played as many as us, so, because you guys are 22 and 26.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We are 21 and 30, so we've played
Yeah.
like much more games than you guys.
How many times have you played the
Yeah,
Kansas
you have
City
more
Chiefs?
opportunity to
Or the
win.
Kansas
We
City
haven't played the
Royals?
Kansas City Chiefs yet. Actually, we had like the toughest start of every season. We've played Houston twice. They're,
Did they cheat?
probably.
Oh.
That's why they won. We've played, I believe, the Yankees already. So, we played Tampa. Tampa, won 13 games to start the season. We played them like twice already. They're 37 and 15. You're not winning that game against Tampa.
I don't know.
John knew it. He was just waiting for that.
I
That's the real
feel
reason
like-
why he wanted to be on the
I feel
podcast.
Like he pulled us, baited us, and we took the bait.
You can't.
Of course you did.
I mean, we can keep the other common theme of our podcast and talk Seinfeld and be in agreement there.
Yeah, yeah.
What's the...
Oh, we both make a lot of Seinfeld reference.
Oh, we love Seinfeld.
Ah,
yeah,
okay.
we enjoy Seinfeld, but so it's a friendly rivalry.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if you're aware, John. Like, it was like maybe your second year here,
First.
the first year here. So
a few months in, like 6 months
our
in.
previous senior pastor bought a recycle bin, and so I said, "Hey, PD and I'll drive up to Wisconsin and pick up the recycle bin." It was like specially made for Immanuel. And we're like, hey, we're kind of close to Milwaukee, so we went to watch the Cubs and the White Sox at
Miller Park.
Miller Park. And
Cubs and White Sox?
No, Cubs and
I'm
Brewers.
sorry, Cubs and Brewers.
Oh,
sorry,
okay.
Cubs and Brewers. So he went to a Cub game with me, and the reason I probably got
It was probably second year. I was thinking of a different story.
yeah. So then he came to that, and the Cubs won. And then later that summer, maybe
Something like that.
we were together and we went to a White Sox game.
Sox lost.
Sox lost, but I wore a White Sox ball cap
You
and
did?
a White Sox shirt. And
did.
I was like being a good, brother.
Yep,
Wow.
that was in
Yep.
that was in like the 10 or 12 games in a row I went to that the Sox lost over like a couple year span. That was a rough go. No, I thought you were talking about when you got into my personal bubble at my first pastors conference here at Immanuel. We're up at Lake Lawn Lodge and Lake Delavan, and the Cubs that was 16 season. So when they beat the Giants, I think they clinched that first round of the DS. And he was so excited. He gave me a big hug, and I'm protective of my bubble.
All that PD could say is, "You're breaking my bubble.
You're in my
breaking
bubble."
my bubble." And I'm like, I don't care.
So remind me, what happened in 16?
I don't know. It was a bad memories. I blocked it out. You know, it was
Especially
bad.
when you preach on all the championships and you exclude the greatest one of them all.
I don't think that's the greatest. Whatever supposedly happened.
I was sitting there, I was aghast. I'm like, of all things.
We actually considered shutting down AV when that happened.
I was like,
Well, people probably would have been
sorry,
happy.
there's
They're like, okay, we can leave. Service is over.
technical difficulties.
Oh, it's all in good fun.
Yeah,
So,
Well,
yeah.
thanks for riling us up.
absolutely. You had to know I had something planned.
Yeah.
So thank you, John. And like we said, if you want to help with AV or any other different aspects of Immanuel for volunteerism, you can always come and see Pastor or me, or, we can direct you in where you need to go to help out in that area.
If you see me around, just ask me anything, and if I don't know the answer, I'll find someone who does, or I'll make one up, depending on how I feel.
Yeah.
But no, it's the way to get to know people. It's the way to make the church smaller and feel like a second home. And that's
Awesome.
really what we're supposed to be.
Well, thanks again, John, for joining us.
Absolutely.
And everybody, thanks for tuning in. Have a blessed day.